Good morning. My name's Alexia. It's Raptor Freak here on a Wednesday morning, rainy Wednesday morning in Toronto after a loss to the Brooklyn Nets last night. Very disappointing overtime loss to the Nets last night. It was tough. Uh, we had a lot of things go away during the day that could have helped us win this game, but opportunity was lost to beat the Brooklyn Nets last, the number one team in the Eastern Conference in the NBA right now. And, I got to hand it to the Nets. They did a lot of great things last night the right way with what they had. And, Kevin Durant is a generational talent. He's somebody that is truly an all time great. And, we can't mess with that in some ways. That he is that good. And we had actually had some good success against him last night. I thought that Scotty was covering him really well and that he was missing a lot of shots. He was very frustrated. He didn't get to go off like he wanted to. You could tell. And we limited him in some ways. I know he got 30 something points, but he could have been a lot worse. And I really think Patty Mills was the real assassin of the Raptors last night. The fact that Patty Mills could operate like he did with the 3-point shot last night was just unacceptable. I mean, he was 7 for 14 from 3 last night, 30 points, 10 and 20 from the field. That was Fred's assignment. That was actually a good matchup for him. And I know that Coach Steve Nash was running a lot of really good plays for Patty to get free and screens. And Patty just did a really good job of getting himself open and hitting the shots when he got them. And he really killed us. Like if we had been able to limit Patty Mills a little bit better last night, I think we would have done a lot better. It's just he really got them into the game at the end of the game. And those threes were key. Like what Patty did in the fourth quarter, those threes were key because we did get the momentum and we were winning the game near the end of the game. And, once again, our offense stagnates at really bad times. And our guys got real tired all of a sudden, right in the last couple minutes of game. And it carried over into overtime. And that fatigue is ultimately what killed us, honestly. Because when I saw the way Fred brought the ball up with the last possession, when he's coming up the court and he's just walking the ball up. Like, I'm like, Fred, you got 11 seconds, man. You can't spend 6, 7 seconds of it just getting the ball over half court. You need to be a better veteran. You need to understand when it's time to go. Because in those last 11 seconds, you could have won the game for us if you had gone out there instead of, just setting up your little stupid one-on-one isolation play to get a shot at the top of the key. That's not a good play. You need to bring the ball up quick, and you need to move the ball a little bit in that 11 seconds and find a good shot off your teammate. Because when you do that, you get a lot of animosity from Raptor fans like me. Because you looked so tired at that point, Fred. You didn't look like you had any more gas. You looked so flat in the last minute in the whole overtime. You didn't look good at all. And Pascal, the same thing. You both looked dead tired. You did not look good in that last bit of the game, and I hate it. Gee, good morning, man. Thanks for being here with me. Raptors got beat by rebounds. Yeah, it's really clear and evident on here. I mean, if you look at the team stats for what happened last night, they out-rebounded us by almost 20. It was 60-41. And a lot of that was the offensive rebounds. Like, once again, this problem that we had a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago was second chance shots by the other team reared its ugly head. And I know that part of that is just missing personnel, that people like Kem Birch and Precious Achua would help us so much with making sure there's no second chance points, because down low, they did whatever they wanted to. To start the game, Claxton was operating. Like, he did what we wanted Boucher to do, is get free and get all these good inside points to start the game. Claxton started that game great for the Nets and got them going. They really got a good effort from their young guys, the guys that don't get to play a whole lot. Like that Kessler kid that came off the bench, there's no way he should have gotten as many points as he did in this game last night. Like, Kessler Edwards ended up getting 17 points on 7 of 12 shooting. And, I don't know if Scotty saw how that rookie was balling last night. And he's only played, like, that Kessler Edwards kid's only played like 5 games this season. and he looked like a regular rotation guy. He looked better than all of our bench guys. And this is a kid who's at the end of their bench. He barely plays for the Nets, and that's really bad. We made G League guys and rookies look really good last night. And that's just unacceptable to me. That is really unacceptable. Let's keep going. KD, Mills, and Griffin have a ton of experience and good players. KD, obviously amazing. Raps were still the younger team and put up a great fight. Yeah, the playoff experience, especially of Patty Mills and Kevin Durant, was really a factor last night. That these guys are proven winners, guys who've been in winning organizations for a decade, and they really know what they're doing. Patty Mills is impressed me so much. Like, he's honestly a really he's probably playing the best basketball he's ever played in his life right now for Brooklyn. And he's a savvy vet that really knows how to score and do the right things and stuff. And, he outplayed Fred. He made Fred look really bad on defense last night. And I don't know what we could have done to get to him better last night. Like, what was going on with that, Nick Nurse? Why couldn't we find Patty Mills and shut him down? It was just unacceptable. At a certain point, when he starts hitting threes, you got to tell your guys in timeout, we have to stop Patty. You got to get to Patty, because it just seemed like he was getting more and more open and getting more and more to those open spots and hitting them, especially that last one that got them to overtime. There was somebody near him, but he still made it. So that's just really bad, really bad. Patty Mills was the MVP in some ways last night for them, for sure. Fred will watch tape and hopefully fix that at the end. Yeah, I was really disappointed in Fred last night. I thought he was being too selfish with the ball at the end of the game, that he didn't need to be trying to do it all himself. That recently on the team, we've been getting more from everybody else. I like that Scotty took the last shot in the overtime, but that wasn't really a good shot at all either. Like, that, I don't understand what's going on. Do we not have timeouts at certain times and stuff like that? Like, did we not have a timeout with 11 seconds to go so that Nick Nurse could draw a play? I know he likes to kind of keep play going and kind of get the other team on their heels where they don't have a chance to reset themselves and have a breather. So he says, just play on. But I think that really hurts our team sometimes, when he says, just play through it, whether it's just like they're getting scored on and they're like, oh, the team will play through it and stuff like that. I don't like that about Nick Nurse, that he's very stingy with his timeouts. Like, why wouldn't you call a timeout? I don't know if they had a timeout or not with 11 seconds to go, but why wouldn't you call a timeout and draw up a play with 11 seconds to go to win the game? Because you don't want to go to overtime against a team on the road. And once it goes to overtime, that favors the home team. That's just, at that point, that the Nets are more likely to win if overtime occurs. So you had 11 seconds. That's a lot of freaking time. Why didn't you call a timeout and draw up a play instead of having Fred lazily, looking tired as fuck, dribble the ball up for 5-6 seconds of that 11 seconds, and then stand there for a second and decide he wanted to try and come around him and shoot a little shitty shot like that air ball? It bugs me. I have a lot of confidence and love for Fred, but these are the times when you need to point out where they fucked up. And I think that was Nick and Fred fucking up on that Nick should have called a timeout, drew up a play if he had it, or at least call a play from the bench that they can play and institute. Don't just let him try and do isolation and beat his guy one-on-one, because that hardly ever works. And you put so much pressure on yourself, Fred. And when you don't do well, you fail and you look bad to everybody else. We all look at you and we see, what the fuck are these guys at the end of the game? Pascal and Fred, what are you guys doing? You're missing threes and you look like hot garbage. And I know part of that is that back-to-back. They're playing the second night of a back-to-back. We got to rest them the night before. And, there were opportunities last night. I know the bench didn't show up again, to rest our guys more throughout the game instead of spending so much. Because, by the time the end of the fourth quarter came, all our starters had already played 40 minutes, like by the end of the fourth quarter. And they were all gassed. And they looked more tired than a team that only had 8 players last night. That was the advantage we had, Nick. How could you let that advantage turn into a disadvantage last night? That we had more live bodies out there, we had better talent, we had more energy, and you let that that advantage go away, so that at the end of the game, the Nets looked like they weren't as tired. And I know they didn't have a back-to-back, but still, they only had 8 players, and they were some of the G League rookie scrub players on their team that were playing most of the game last night. Like, why weren't we going and dissecting the mismatches and just really keying on some of the rookies and their young guys on their offense? We should have had bread and butter plays going all night with Pascal and Scotty beating these youngsters that don't know what they're doing. And I didn't see any of that kind of opportunity seized to really take advantage of guys like Kessler and Duke and the Davon and all these weird guys that they had last night. Man. All right, let's see. MK, good morning. Glad to see you here. Boucher jumped into the stands trying to block Patty Mills. The effort was there in a lot of ways last night. It's just like I said, I think that it was poorly managed in some ways. Nick Nurse, once again, I hate your rotations. I hate that you let our starters play so much that by the end of the game, they're absolutely gassed. And I hate that you did not call that timeout I just talked about, because I feel like those were huge problems. And if they didn't have a timeout at that point of the game, then I understand. But also I know that Nick Nurse has this proclivity to not call timeouts sometimes and let the game ride, just to let his guys work through stuff. Or, I don't know. His coaching philosophy is surprise and maybe don't take a break. But it really hurts us in some ways. And, there were a lot of breaks throughout the game last night for different things, whether Fred's on the floor or reviews or different things like that. That really helped the Nets also, because with their shortened roster, they got a lot of breaks in the game from timeouts and different things like that. And so, it's a tough one. There's a lot of different things that happened to hurt us last night. And, they guided themselves to this win. And Kevin Durant should be proud of his guys, especially Patty Mills. Patty Mills played out of his mind last night. I'm not going to lie. All right, let's keep going. Bench was nowhere to be found again. Yeah, and in the first half, they really showed their ass. Like, all of them were missing threes. They just looked like butt. Like, they really did. Like, Svi was once again kind of Like, what did they do for let me look at their shooting overall. As a bench, they shot 6 for 22. 6 for 22. That's a horrible percentage. And they only made 2 threes out of 14. 2 threes out of 14. That's really bad. 1 for 5 Yuta, 0 for 4 Justin Champagny, 1 for 3 Malachi, and 0 for 2 Svi. That is really bad. So they couldn't depend on the bench again in any kind of way. See, the part of the problem with the bench substitutions that Nick's doing that I don't like right now is, yeah, sure, your bench may not be producing that well right now, but what you do is, instead of putting them 4 of them in with 1 starter, something like that, put 2 of them in with 3 starters, or at the most 3 of them in with 2 starters at all times, so that the bench doesn't have to be so heavily relied on during those periods of time. Because in the second quarter, when we had to play our bench a lot, the Nets really kind of messed us up. We looked really bad. We started really well. We were playing really well with them. But when our bench guys came in, they really started to take control of the game at that time. And some of the other times in the game where they did really well were when Durant wasn't even in the game. Like, Kevin wasn't even playing and they were beating us. And that's totally unacceptable. Oh, my gosh, that was so unacceptable. Darren, that was a fantastic game. It was. It was entertaining. It was fun to watch in a lot of ways. There was a lot of good things happening for the Raptors in some ways. Still a lot of bad things. Like, the offensive stagnation is something that really pisses me off, that we go through these long periods where we can't even score. But you know what? It was overall an entertaining game. And much like that loss to Oklahoma City last week, this is another one they'll teach them. They'll teach them. Yeah, Scotty's going to learn from this personally. Like, there was a lot of smack talk going on last night between Gary and Kevin Durant and Scotty and different people last night. And Kevin got the right in the last laugh. And Gary really wanted that chance to talk trash back to him and say that he won. And you could tell he was super disappointed after the game ended. And so was Scotty, because these guys really could have put a good effort, and we lost a really good opportunity to beat the top team in the East. We lost a really, really good opportunity. This may have been our best opportunity to beat them this year. Who knows what they're going to look like the next time we play them? They may have Harden back. They may have all kinds of different people back. And we squandered an opportunity tonight. And that's one thing we've got to realize also and teach these youngsters is like we lost an opportunity to get our record even and to, beat the top team in the East. And we didn't accomplish that. And it's also bad that they get the kudos to themselves that they did it with such a patchwork roster and that they did it with the bare minimum. And that's because that's what I was thinking going in the game after I heard all these guys were out for COVID protocols. And then Harden was on that list. All of a sudden, I was like, oh my gosh, this is basically going to be Durant versus the Raptors. So I said, let's see what happens when it's Durant versus the Raptors. And well, we saw it, that Durant is still enough, that Durant is that kind of level of talent and above and beyond a lot of people. And to me, he's way better than LeBron at this point. Like, honestly, he can pick and choose his spots, and he is the Slim Reaper. He does things that are really badass in the game. And it's so weird, the motif of the whole Nets franchise right now. Like when the announcer's doing the game before game and introductions, he does it like with a slither in his voice, like he's really playing off the whole mentality of the snake of Kevin Durant being the snake. He's like, so Brooklyn Nets are definitely Slytherin house. Oh yeah, they're in the Harry Potter world. Those are Slytherins over there. I'm not lying. Okay, let's keep going. Bench had 16 points out of 129. Yeah, our starters scored some good amounts. Like Pascal had a great game last night. Pascal played great last night. Scotty was phenomenal. Scotty did even more new stuff that we hadn't seen him do. 23 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and he shot 7 for 13. And he was 3 for 5 from 3. Some of those threes that Scotty made in the second half were impressive. They were like that one in the corner. You had guys right at the last second. That was really good. And even Fred had a good game overall. I mean, he didn't shoot as well as he could have, but his game was pretty good overall. Like 6 for 14. He was really doing stuff for us. And Gary, once again, steady also. But Chris didn't do as much as he could have. He was 9 and 9, which is okay. And then the bench, what a nightmare. The bench has just been a nightmare with all these guys out. We just don't have the talent and the production off the bench that we need right now, that we need to shift some of these guys that are in our rotation right now out of the rotation and bring these hurt guys back and to take their minutes. That OG, Kem, and Precious need to come and take these minutes that we need so badly filled, and then the bench stuff will get figured out better. But, man, it was so nice to see what they did against Sacramento. We were hoping they build off of it, but they didn't last night, unfortunately. The bench was the old bench. MK, Edwards got more than our whole bench. Yeah, that's a good thing to point out, MK. 17 points for him, and we got 16 off our bench. That is just very disappointing, especially a kid like that. These kids look like kids. We let kids and an old man and a couple old men and some kids beat us last night. It was bad. It was bad. All right, let's see. Ken A. Mills was too hot. Rebounds killed us. It's a back-to-back, too. Yeah, I thought that advantage of them being down with only 8 players and the players that I saw that were the 8, I was like, whoa, I was licking my chops. I was like, if we can really control Kevin, we'll be in good shape. But alas, Kevin took this as a challenge. I mean, that's what they said. Like in the middle of the day, he was saying he was questionable with his ankle soreness. But then they said, if you don't play, Kevin, we have to postpone the game because we won't have enough players. And Kevin took that as a personal challenge. He said, I want to play then. And he said, I want to go with this squad. I want to go with this little tight, like end of the bench and me and 2 vets kind of squad. And he took it as a challenge and he was successful. And that's why after the game, he was so proud of his team. He was talking about how this is like he called our organization a championship organization again last night, first of all. And I appreciate that he respects our organization like that. And he says that, but I still would have wanted to get the win more than hear him say that. But, that mission accomplished, Kevin. You did exactly what you needed to do and wanted to do last night. And kudos to you, man. Honestly, kudos to you. Darren, that was worth the NBA League Pass. Okay, so tell me, the Raps are not contenders. No, that's not true at all. These are still the learning learning curve here, Darren, that like there is a learning curve still, that we have to find our way to win. And there's a different blueprint to how to win each game. And what's happening is we're getting a good bit of the blueprint filled in, but the last details of the house aren't getting filled in to how to build it. And it's really at the end of the game, it's like so close. It's a similar thing to Oklahoma City. It's just learning how to finish the game, close the game out properly, time management, and good defense, good, solid defensive efforts. And there wasn't totally that at the end of the game. And partly that's just like being totally exhausted. Like it's so hard to play at that level of that. And Kevin's the kind of guy, he'll cruise the whole game and he'll save some in the tank and find that extra stuff in the tank when other people are out of it. Like he's that sneaky. He'll play. He has a certain level he'll play at. Then at the end of the game, where other players are really tired, like our guys look, he has another level still that he can continue to play at. And unfortunately, that's really part of what happened. But Darren, I wouldn't say that still. We're playing tough teams in tough situations, and that we still have the ability to grow and get our winning percentage better game to game. Still, I still believe that. Like we can't decide anything from the game last night. You know, we can paint it and spin it in all kinds of horrible ways. Oh, you lost to 8 guys, G Leaguers and stuff like that. But no, you lost to Kevin Durant and Patty Mills, who are both Olympic kind of champions, and they're both world champions from other teams, and they've both been in the league for like 10, 12 years each. So, and you know, Patty Mills is really an extension of Steve Nash on the court, that he is basically like that. He is, if Steve Nash could be playing right now, he would be, his avatar would be Patty Mills. Like Patty Mills is doing what Steve Nash wants to do himself personally in the game. He is a proxy for Steve Nash out there, and he's a great one for him because he plays a lot like him in some ways. So let's see. All right. Kenne, Mills was too hot. Rebounds killed us. It's a back-to-back. Yeah, the back-to-back versus the shortened roster by them, that was the battle. And in the end, that back-to-back was worse than their shortened roster. That they could weather having the shortened roster more than us with the back-to-back. And I'm really disappointed in that because we got to rest the guys against Sacramento because of the bench in the fourth quarter on Monday night, and it still didn't matter. It still wasn't enough rest, and our guys were just, they looked tired. You could tell they were so freaking tired. And I don't understand why Nick Nurse doesn't sub more in those situations when you can visibly see your players are tired. Why can't you put some guys who are fresh in? Like somebody like Justin Champagnie in the overtime could have done a lot of good things for us. Just that burst of energy and getting to the loose balls and getting on the boards. Justin should have been playing more last night, in my opinion. Maybe not shooting, but doing everything else he does on the court. Like they left him open and he shot some really bad threes. But, you know, otherwise, if he was hitting the boards for us, he could have really helped us with the main problem last night, which was rebounding. So I don't understand why we can't get more energetic guys near the end of the game. You know, they all look dog tired last night at the end of the game, and I hated that. Okay, Tom Duke, good morning, man. Glad you made it this morning. 4 rookies. Yeah, 4 rookies. Wow, you guys are way ahead. I'm going to have to go fast. 4 rookies out of their 8 players. Yeah, G League and rookies and yeah, but I mean, listen, when Kevin Durant outweighs all that, and he is really that he was the best player on the court and the guy who's kind of dictating things for sure. That third quarter was awesome. Really good scoring in that third quarter. I mean, we came back on them. We were down at the half and we had the lead at the end of the third quarter. That was fantastic. Really good job. There were a couple of times during the game. The second quarter wasn't really that good at all, but like there were some really good stretches in this game where we were competing with them really well. But then once again, too many times offensive stagnation where we just couldn't find the basket. It really sucked. And that stuff really hurt us at times. KD said Patty Mills is underrated. I agree. Yeah, he's always been kind of underrated. In the beginning of his career, he was under the shadow of Manu and Tony Parker in San Antonio, and he was always kind of their backup. And then he's kind of just never been like in the forefront or had a big spotlight on him in the NBA. But he's always been kind of a solid vet, a great backup for many years. But now, you know, honestly, he could start for a lot of teams in this league. and he's their backup point guard. So that's like really good for the Nets. Like when they're all healthy at the end of the year, they're going to be nasty because some of their youngsters really impressed me last night too. Raps are getting everyone's best game. Yeah, I don't even know if that's true. I think that, we're part of the problem. I always make this analogy about filling up the water to the right height in the container, and we just didn't have enough water compared to their water in their container last night. And there's different ways of getting there in different ways. And there was good effort at times last night, really good effort at times, but near the end of the game, the effort was really piss poor, and that really was fatigue, and that's tough. But I don't know. I don't know if we can say that's everyone's best game, because obviously a lot of their team wasn't there last night. So we can't really say that. But I do feel like we played them way better than the first time we played them last night, obviously. So why so negative, Freak? No timeout at the end. It's 3 seconds left. Okay, so there was no timeout. All right. But still, Fred was still too casual and too laissez-faire about, or taking his time coming up the court. He should have taken the 11 seconds a lot better, used them better. I don't like how they're using these last seconds when they have to make last second shots. They could create better shots, but they're being lazy by just kind of standing and waiting for the last 3 seconds and then going. It's like you're eating up time that we need to use to work the ball around on offense and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Tom Duke played the starters way too much. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm crying out here right now, Tom. Exactly. Yuta could have got minutes in overtime. You're right. Fred VanVleet made poor decision with bad execution. I just don't like him trying to carry it all on his back. Like, I'd much rather, we saw Gary take a couple of end of quarter shots last night. It was really good. The second quarter, he made the first one, and then the second time he did it, he didn't make it. But that's the kind of stuff I love. And Scotty is taking the shot in overtime. That's good too, because Pascal and Fred, to an extent, to me, have kind of worn out their chance to be the big shot guy at the end of the game right now. That they've had so many chances and they failed so much that they're not money on this, that we need to start exploring some of the other guys that are on the roster to be that guy to take the big shot and take over at the end of the game. So, and we did see more signs last night again from Scotty Barnes being that superstar that can take over the game for stretches of time and score a lot at times. I love that he was going at Durant and scoring on Durant, going right at him and making those baskets in the lane and then playing him on defense on the other end. That's really fun stuff. Really good rivalry, even if Durant's not around long enough for it to really blossom over time. But I really like this battle between Barnes and Durant. And I love that our rookie didn't back down and he went right at him. And he had some really good success against Kevin Durant on the offensive end last night. And that's impressive because Kevin Durant is an elite defender in some ways. He's hard to shoot on with his length and his quickness. And Scotty being able to get the score on him, that's really impressive for a rookie. And that shows that he could be that go-to superstar kind of guy that's hard to stop. I love that. Gee, anyone whom takes the last shot and misses will hear it, though. No timeout left. Okay, so there was no timeout. Okay, but still, listen, they need to call a play. I'm sick of these lazy isolation one-on-one kind of plays that they call at the end of the game. They need to do something at least where they know that they can free somebody up in the corner and get a quick shot or something or just have a little bit more urgency. I just don't like how you let the defense just see what all's going to happen and they're all just standing there and they're ready for you. So when you're not really putting any energy into the ball at the end of the game or doing something with it, it's just real easy to guard you then. Because especially since you're shorter than the guy who's guarding you. So he can just keep up on you and it's just not, it looks so bad. And you're right. Anybody who takes that shot and misses is going to look bad. And these guys are taking a top responsibility, but still, we want to find success somewhere in this area very soon because this has been an issue. And we do need to find clutch people that can be counted on late in the game when the game is close to help us manage the score to win. And that's not happening right now. So, yeah. Tom's saying also that everyone gets up against us. Yeah, they do. In some ways, the championship a couple of years ago is still in people's heads. People like Kevin obviously think of us as a championship organization, so they don't take us lightly. I'm sure they get up for us a lot different than they get up for the Orlando Magic or they get up for Detroit Pistons. That this is a game that Kevin looks forward to when he plays Toronto. and he relishes the opportunity to try and beat us. That little yappy dog is out there again. I wish they would just take that dog for a walk. You don't need to stand outside with your dog for 5 minutes yelling. Jeez. Okay, let's keep going. Come on, the positives. All right, Darren, I know. I just have to do a little critique so that we understand what happened. I have to do a little critique because we have to understand what happened. We can't just go, oh, they lost and stuff like we, there are positives from last night too. So listen, that was a great, fun game to watch. Fred had an open look to win, and he didn't hit it. This is not a blowout loss. Yeah, it's definitely not a blowout loss. But once again, these close games that are within hand and within reach and within like a lead within 2 minutes to go in the game are tough to taste, tough to take. Because this takes me back to a period of time like in the early 2010s with the Raptors, where we're still struggling to figure out how to close games out, manage the game with time, and win the game and be on the other side winning. And that process with Kyle and DeMar was tough. It took a few years, but we got real good at it. And we're ahead in some ways with it, with this group, with Pascal and Fred, that they're younger than where DeMar and Kyle were, where they were going through all this stuff and really getting this. But this is a process that takes a couple years. And this is why we're in development, is for this kind of stuff. It's not, it's to learn how to win again. It's not with the talent and learning all this other stuff. It's more learning how to win the game and be good in the game, managing the game, and making sure you win the game. And that's something that we still have to learn again as a team right now. So let's go. MK, yeah, we should have taken a timeout. We didn't have one, unfortunately. I wish we did. Apparently that we didn't have one. Either Fred wants to take the last shot and take the crap if misses, or he really believes he can do it, which he can. Not mad about that. Okay, I'm glad you guys are not as mad about this as I am. Because the part of the reason why I'm mad about it is maybe it's more at Nick Nurse. Because once again, like we've been saying, Tom and I just talking about it, they didn't manage the fatigue with the team last night properly. That at the end of the game, Fred VanVleet had played 47 minutes last night, and that he was gassed. He was gassed. They looked gassed. Like if I see the Raptors look completely tired and ineffective on defense and with their shot, that their shot doesn't look like it has legs under it, then they're too fatigued and they shouldn't even be playing. I'd much rather have a bench player that's pretty good in the game, like Yuta was mentioned earlier, in there that has the energy and the legs underneath them to take the shots, than these guys who are completely gassed at the end of the game. And they have too much pride to tell it or admit it to the coach. They have too much pride to say to Nick Nurse, you know what, I'm feeling tired, you need to take me out. No, they want to keep going. So it's really up to Nick Nurse to realize when this is going on. And I know that he can't predict whether there's overtime or not, but when overtime happens, that is something you got to really think about, and maybe even consider playing some extra other guys in the first 2 minutes of the 5-minute overtime just to have some juice at the beginning of it. Because, we did really well at the beginning of overtime. We scored the first couple of points, and that looked really good. But then we hit a wall again, and we couldn't score all of a sudden again. And they were so tired by the end of the game. That was really the biggest factor, is how tired they were. That really was, to me. Rebounds, only bad part of this game for Raps. Yeah, the rebounding, the closing out, the boxing out, really, really piss poor. Too many second chance shots for them. And I just hated that. In that one play that Scotty was getting all those rebounds, and they called like travel because they said that it didn't hit the rim or something. He caught it. That sucks because he was getting a lot of rebounds really quick. And man, I hate that. I hate when they penalize a player for trying hard. But, the reffing last night was actually pretty good overall. At the beginning of the game, I was really worried when I saw Ed Malloy. And once again, what is with Ed Malloy always reffing with two other white males? Like, there's a lot of diversity in the reffing community in the NBA now. There's women, a lot of women reffing now. And obviously, there's always been a lot of people of color. And why is Ed Malloy always two white males with him on the crew? That's 2 times we've seen him. We saw him in Boston with Boston in Toronto last game against Boston. And now we've seen him in this game against Brooklyn. 2 big, important division rivals, I will say also. Think about that. Ed Malloy's reffing in those games. And both times he has 2 white guys with him. I don't understand that. There's something weird going on with that also. I just make a note of that. I don't know. I won't speculate too much. But Ed Malloy is at one of those refs that I keep an eye on, like whatchamacallit, the really crooked one that's gambling. But he was fair to us. That play with Fred and Blake Griffin when Fred was dribbling towards and he hit Blake in the face, that could have easily been the call that they wanted, that when they challenged it, that it was an offensive foul. And, they could have even gone all the way to saying it was flagrant. I know it didn't look flagrant or something like that, but the refs are cheesy like that. And give them the ball, give them free throws, and give them the possession. But there were a couple of times where the challenge was involved and they don't deal with after the challenge correctly. Like, we should get the ball after the thing that happened with Scotty. They shouldn't have a jump ball and then we have lose possession that way. We should just get possession because we won the challenge and that we should have had the ball. And that's the same kind of thing with the Fred thing too, that in the download, they take possessions away from us in the challenges because they make us do jump balls instead of just giving us the ball when it should be our ball. And that pissed me off a little bit last night. That maybe was a little bit of subtle ref manipulation, but for the most part, they weren't really a factor last night. The factor is us being tired and missing shots and not executing. But the refs were worrying me, and I kept a really close eye on them last night, and they were okay. They were okay for the most part. Raptors only had 9 players. Yeah, we were short-staffed too, but we had more guys in some ways, and we didn't even play Isaac Bonga. Bonga didn't even play last night. We had an extra guy on them, and we didn't even play him. I think we had 10 players last night, actually. Yeah, we had 10 with Bonga. Bonga didn't get out there. We had 9 off the bench, 9 altogether, and then 1 that we didn't play. Let's see. Darren, no box out caused the loss. Yeah, boxing out was really bad last night. It really made us real. We need our centers. Raps had 9 players on a back-to-back. Our team was still way younger and least experienced. This is not a game to be upset about, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I'm upset, but I'm not upset. I'm more upset that the opportunity was there and that we didn't seize it. But there's nothing wrong with losing to Brooklyn and Kevin Durant, for sure. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to take those opportunities when they're there and seize them. And that's part of what we need to teach this young Raptor team, is to notice and recognize when opportunities are sitting in front of you and you need to take them and be aggressive and get them. And, not like kind of let it come to you, go and take it. And we're not doing that. And part of going and taking it is being aggressive on the offensive end and scoring and outscoring them. And you had to outscore Kevin Durant, a Hall of Famer, greatest of all time kind of guy, in overtime. That's a tough, tall order. But, that's what you have to do. You have to go and take it. And that's what they did. Patty Mills went and took it. Kevin Durant went and took it. And we didn't go and take it, which is too bad. Darren, Nick Nurse can't just play anyone. He goes with the best. They played well. Okay, I understand that. And that has been part of the whole thing this year with having to play Fred and Scotty and OG too much, is he has no confidence in his bench right now. And that sucks. Like, I guess we've got to up-tool our talent throughout the whole roster and our bench better. I thought we had good players, but these guys aren't doing it. They're not hitting the ground running off the bench. They're not making their shots when they get the opportunities. It really is like right now they have to play because that's all we've got. But at some point, these other guys are going to come back and the minutes will become competitive. And the guys who aren't making their shots, they better get quick hooks. Like, we can't let Svi have this kind of a leash when we have all of our guys healthy. He should not be playing if he's not going to make – if he comes out there and he misses his first 2 shots, he's benched for the rest of the night. That's what I want to see when we get our guys back. And Yuta, we give him a little more leash because he does more with the energy and the rebounding and different things like that. But, yeah, him even too. Like, if he's blowing coverage or he's not doing things correctly, these guys have no room for error. They need to be perfect. They need to come in and make all their shots and play perfectly, or they're not going to get minutes. We need that kind of level of competition and excellence from them. And we'll only get it when we get all our bodies back. So let's see. The bench just wasn't scoring. Tom Duke, Durant said how excited he was to compete with us last night. Reality is that the game was still against the Nets. Mills and Durant were better than our stars. Yeah, I said that earlier. It's like, to me, it seemed like it was Durant versus the Raptors, but that's always a folly to just put it all on one guy. This is a team still, and they were really this was kind of like a night for the Nets to get in a bunker and like they're getting shelled by the other side and they're in bad place. And it was kind of like an inspiration story for them. It was like, whoa, we have the minimum amount of guys. We have our G League rookies. We have these guys that don't ever get to play. And I want this challenge, Kevin said, and I want to take it on. And we are a team, and I'm proud of you guys. I'm going to do everything I can as a player to help my team win. And that's what he did last night. And, it really is true. Mills was a huge factor in the game. I'm going to keep talking about it. MK, I'm tired of challenges ending in jump balls. Yes, they really need to change these rules. They don't make sense. Who gets possession after they're figured out and stuff like that. They really don't make sense. They've got to look at this better. NBA, New Jersey, referee, head office, you need to do more analytics and figure out where you're supposed to be giving the ball. And you know what? Maybe less jump balls. Like, can we go back to more a lower level basketball, like high school or something like that, where you give the ball alternately to different teams? So we don't even need to take all the time to set up the jump ball, take all that time to get it all correctly, because that sometimes takes the total rhythm of the game out of the game because it takes so long to set up a jump ball. So can we just like end the jump balls? Sure, jump ball at the beginning of the game to start the game. I don't even want to see a jump ball at the halftime. When they don't do that, they alternate the possession to the team that didn't win the jump ball. So it's kind of like the jump ball is a dumb thing anyway. It's just like in football. It's like, do you choose to kick or receive? Because in the second half, you're going to get it anyway. So it's kind of like, what is the strategy? Do you want to win the jump ball? Because you get the ball if you don't win the jump ball at the beginning of the half. So that alternating of possessions with those kind of things, I feel like that's better. Like even, you give it to one team first. Maybe the visiting team gets the favor first, and then the home team gets the alternating call from there or something like that. I don't know. But the NBA really does need to look at this area of how it's stopping the flow of the game, and the natural rhythm of basketball is hurt by all these little TV timeouts with the refs watching TV and all this dumb stuff like that. I hate it. It's messing up the flow of the game. And it's used to manipulate the game also, to hurt teams that when they start to get on runs and stuff like that. They don't totally do that. So, let's see. Darren, I wasn't that we shot so poorly. It was that they didn't miss from those noob nets. Yeah, we didn't shoot well at times. We did, the offense was really good last night. High scoring game by both teams. We had a lot of points by halftime. And, they had a lot of points too. I didn't like that. So it's like the defensive effort could have been better. We didn't capitalize on their inexperience at certain positions last night. Like I said earlier, we could have been taking advantage of them on our offense a lot more, like going to those guys. And I don't know, kudos to Steve Nash and the Nets for having a really good plan on how to play last night, shorthanded against us. But they did have a couple of things that were easier for them. I think it would have been way harder for them to beat us last night if we had just had one of our centers back. If we had Kem or Precious last night, it would have been a totally different kind of game. But it is what it is. Who was there was who was there. So, all right, let's see. Darren, I'm going to skip over this stuff like in the middle here. I just watched the replay a few hours ago, so it's really fresh in my mind. That was a great game. It shows we can beat contenders. Who cares about the regular season? Playoffs and Larry B. I see. This is what I love about doing these live streams, is that I can become jaded and pessimistic and negative about a game like last night. And then I talk to a couple of you guys and you show me the light. You tell me the positive thing to take out of it and look at it. And that's really kind of like, it's a team thing. You guys are helping me in my tough times. And maybe I do the opposite sometimes. When you guys feel tough, I say something in the morning to get you out of it. I love that you just said that, Darren. And you're exactly right. We are hanging with contenders. And on Saturday, we get a huge test again with Golden State coming to Toronto. And these are the games we need to hang in. We can't let them rout us. We can't let them beat us by 20, 30 points. We can't let them make us look like we don't belong on the court with them. And we definitely look like we belong last night. Thank God, because that's a piecemeal team of the Nets. But we need to continue that against top teams like Milwaukee, Golden State, and Brooklyn. We need to show that. And these Western teams we haven't seen yet, like Clippers and Lakers and, the Nuggets. These are teams that we're going to see eventually. We need to always look like we belong out there and that we compete with them. And we may not win right now in our current state of development in these close games against elite teams, but we will Eventually, we will learn that again. That learning curve will be gone over again, and it'll be back. It'll be back. And the guys, some of the guys on our team remember what it was like and how to do it. It's just that we got to get the overall collective of the Raptors now to understand how and what to do. So let's see. I'm a fun guy. Guess 500. We'll have to wait. Yeah, it's too bad. So close, yet so far. 13 and 15. It is what it is. But you know what? We could be in worse shape. We could be like, Orlando or some of these other teams below us, and we could be better. That's true. There's at least 3 or 4 games we've had this year that were that close that we could have, should have won. So for sure. If we weren't tired, 100% win. They were rested. Yeah, they were rested. Kevin just came off that 50-point game against Detroit, so they were feeling real good. And like I said, he had a challenge to himself. That, can I do this with the bare minimum of guys and not even my best guys? I want to take this challenge, and he was successful. He really orchestrated a lot of that, and Patty Mills, once again. All right, let's see. No OG, no Achua, no Birch. Big time trouble. Yeah, meh. They were not tired. They played hard the whole game, and in the OT, go rewatch. The effort was there. They were not dragging or tired. No, I don't believe that, Darren. They were tired. Fred looked tired when he dribbled the ball up at the end of regulation. That was not an energetic Fred. That was Fred. And then walking over the half court. I mean, he ate up 6 of the last 11 seconds before he even got over half court. So it's like, dude, if you don't have the gas to go, give the ball to somebody else, yo. And seriously, Pascal, part of the reason when their shots don't make it at the end is because they don't have their legs anymore. And when the shots look really bad, like they're not even hitting iron and stuff like that, that's their legs being fatigued. And Pascal definitely showed that in his last 3-point attempt in regulation when he could have made a shot, but he missed it. And I forget, there was another player that missed an open wide 3 also in the last 2 minutes of the game. And that was, that really was. Darren, I don't see what you're saying though, because I really did see them totally gassed. And I thought that, they may have been playing pretty good defense in the overtime, because on the defensive side, they looked energized and playing hard and all over them, trying to stop them. But then on the offensive side, they looked so sluggish. And like they were having such a hard time doing anything. Like they had no energy on the offensive end, is what I was saying. Is like on the defensive side, they were playing pretty solid. But on the offensive end, they had no gas. They had no legs for their shots. Let's see. The Raps are mostly kids. Barnes and Justin are only 20, Gary 22. I think people forget how young they are. Yeah, especially with the way Barnes plays at such a high level already. And like he does all this stuff. It is really easy to forget how young this team is and how much time growing into the future we have to see development and ceilings get raised. Like that's the funny thing is we're all with this mentality that this is the Raptors from the last couple of years, championship Raptors, and that we just expect to win. And well, they're kind of winning. They're not totally winning, but they're kind of winning. But they really, in some ways, a team with that kind of age group should be losing a lot. And I think that points to our talent overall and like the signs that our ceiling and our development is going to get better and better. Like we may be like just below 500 team right now, but as we get it more and more figured out, then we go move up to like maybe a 550 team and then maybe a 600 team. And then all of a sudden we're like a 700 team again. And we're rolling the wins, like we're feared and all over the place. But right now it's just it's a tough time. It is because they're learning as they go. They're learning. They're expected to be successful, but also fail at the same time. And that's such a tough thing to balance right now. And we're doing a good job considering actually in a lot of ways. Because they're staying tight together. They're staying on the game plan. Nobody's getting upset or sad and stuff like that. Of course, it's disappointing to lose these kind of games, but they're staying together and they're doing it. They're working together in the right way. And honestly, they're working faster than a lot of teams would in development and getting through these kind of like lessons and stuff like that. They're coming fast and furious. Like some of these games that we've lost that have been close recently, sometimes they would be stretched out over the whole season, but we're getting them all in the first 2 months of the year. already. So it's very interesting. And I think that it really is a very a yin yang kind of thing here. There's like a light and a dark in it, all areas with this. It's really hard to say that, oh, they're just bad, or oh, they're just good, or whatever. It's right in the middle, really, right now. Okay, yeah, G has a new respect for Kevin Durant now. Yeah, I think we all do. Honestly, yeah, I think I did get another level last night for him, and I have way more respect for him than LeBron. And in some ways, a lot of ways, I have more respect for him than Giannis. But that's mostly more over what he's accrued and accomplished over his career already. Because I think Giannis gets way too many kudos already just for winning one championship and just being a freak. And like honestly, he hasn't done enough yet. He's way too young. He's got to win at least one more championship for me to think that he's a really elite kind of guy. Sure, he may be an individually one of the best players in the league, but when you're talking about all-time conversations, like some jabroni had a list of the top players in NBA history on it, and Giannis was on there, but Larry Bird wasn't, and that was like really stupid. I was like, that list is dumb because Larry Bird's got multiple championships, and he was a very important player to the league. And Giannis, sure, he's a good player, but I'm sorry, Larry Bird deserves to be on the greatest list over Giannis at this point in his career. It may change over Giannis's career, but he has to win at least 2 or 3 more championships for me to actually think that. So, Darren, I'm saying they are contenders. Tell me they ain't worthy. Fuck that. We are right there. We can beat anyone. Yeah, we're just figuring it out. We've got most of the puzzle put together. There's a couple of pieces that look similar, and we're trying to jam in the same hole, but they're not exactly right. And we make the adjustment, and then all of a sudden things just like click and they start working. I really do believe that. And I think that some of the success we've had so far in December already, it showed that. Like we have a good record in December so far. We're like 4-2, and we're building towards something better in recent games, and I see it. And it's just, like I said, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just going to be a lot of that this year. This season is going to be a lot of that this year. So let's see what's going on. All right, man, lots of you guys are here. I love this. All right, I'm going to try and catch up. You guys are way ahead of me. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to try and read faster because I didn't realize I was that far behind. Okay. KD always gets up to play against us. Andrew, good morning. Let's go. Yes, that is very true. KD has a special relationship with the Raptors. Good to see Scotty have another big game. Yes, Scotty played really good. I was hoping he'd get to 30. He could have gotten to 30 last night. He was close. I'm a fun guy. Darren, they looked like they were sleepwalking. They were 140% tired. Oh, yeah, they were. I think that it's just the time zone difference that Darren has a different perspective from being on the exact opposite of the earth from us. That maybe tired people look energetic, and it's the reverse. Or I don't know, maybe it's because he watches in the morning and we watch at night. They look tired because we have tired eyes, and he just got up. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I love you, Darren. And yeah, it was a tough game last night. I really do think they were fatigued. G, Barnes almost got the buzzer beater. That would have been sweet. Oh my gosh. If Barnes had just lined that up and that had banked in right at the end of the game, that would have been a legend right there. That would have been something where the post game, Kevin Durant would have been talking about how good this kid is, how scared he is of him, and how he's like, not scared, but like how he loves to compete with him. Yeah, it would have been a totally different story. But I really thought that was a poor shot even then at that time. Like they were really executing poorly at end of game situations in the 2 opportunities they had. The Fred one, and even that one, I didn't like that shot. I know they didn't have a whole lot of time, but still, if it had gone in, yes, totally different story for sure. Darren, listen, this game showed us what the Rap stars can do. They can beat anyone. Yeah, the Rap starting team's really good. Our bench, honestly, I think our bench is good. It's just that we're using the end of our bench right now, where we should have a middle part of our bench that should be involved in our bench that helps that bench. I mean, it's like kind of the edge of our bench is being our bench. So where it should be our edge of our bench instead. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, this is a big thing that Andrew's talking about here. Hopefully not too many games get canceled. The way things are trending right now since American Thanksgiving is COVID cases are on the rise all around in all aspects of life. And it's definitely getting shown in the NBA, especially in the last 48 hours. There's all kinds of players going into COVID protocols. Games are getting postponed again. And this is just the crazy haphazardness of playing organized sports in a pandemic. And hopefully things don't keep going in this direction. hopefully nobody else on our team has to miss time, and nobody gets anything or anything like that, and there's no more postponements. This thing about not playing the Chicago game tomorrow is a blessing in disguise in some ways. But in some ways, I hate it in some ways too, because I'd much rather just get the games as they're supposed to come, as the beats of the schedule come by us. But it's going to be interesting to see where they put that game and how it may affect other games around it at that time. It may be that they just wait till the end of the season and give us a game somewhere in there, somewhere or something. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see. Okay, Darren. We're not going to argue too much about the fatigue thing. Some of us have seen it. Some of us haven't. It is what it is. Okay. They did make terrible box outs for sure, Darren. That did definitely ruin the game. The rebounds really were the biggest Achilles heel last night, other than like the fatigue and stuff like that. Just the effort on boxing out and the second chance points just killed us over and over again. And they shot better than us last night. The Nets shot better than us at three-pointer and from the field. And we should have made them look worse shooting wise, as our bench shot really bad, and meanwhile their youngsters were making their shots, which is really bad. Okay, yeah, that's what I just said. Darren said the Nets rooks never missed. Everybody that plays the Raps can't miss. Well, I feel like we do okay at stifling some teams. Like Sacramento had a hard time scoring on us the other night, but it is kind of a weird thing. Teams do get up to play us. They want to beat us, so they do put in a good effort. And if our defensive energy isn't exactly right, then yeah, we can have trouble, especially when we're missing centers. Marlon Toby, good morning, man. Glad you're here today. Masai needs to draft more pure aggressive scorers from the NBA draft, G League, and an unsigned, undrafted players, preferably shooters, and Nick Nurse can teach them his defensive schemes for the bench unit. That is something that I worry about with the Raptors franchise, especially over the last, pretty much the whole history of it, that we don't have enough guys with edge. That we have this problem like San Antonio's had in the past, where we don't have enough guys that have swagger, guys that, when you go play at street ball, you play down at the court, pick up, there's a guy out there that just is like, I'm going to roast you. I have an attitude. I have an edge. I'm going at you. I feel like Gary is showing that kind of attitude the most on the team right now, like an aggressiveness, like the steal and the dunk the other night was fantastic. And, just the shit talking and different things that he's doing and trying to back it up. That's the kind of attitude in some ways I want to see more on the team. And the two guys that are main guys on our team, Pascal and Fred, aren't like this in some ways. And I totally know what you're talking about, Marlon. It's kind of like an edginess. It's kind of like, this guy's scary. He's deadly on the court. He's going to score. It's kind of like a Lou Williams, kind of like, I'm a scorer mentality, and I have an edge, and I'm going to do whatever I can thing. And I wish we did have more guys like that on this team. Like Svi in some ways is kind of like that almost, but even his confidence has been shook a couple times in the last month. And, he's not steady enough to be that. But there's different guys in the league that I look at and I'm like, man, I wish we had more guys like that on our team. So I know exactly the type you're talking about. And maybe we could get one or two players like that somehow, some way or something. Or maybe one of our guys gets developed into that. One of our young guys that we've got already gets that kind of an attitude or swagger to his game. Like, it'd be really nice if Scotty had that kind of edge to him, because with that, all that talent and the package that he has, if he starts getting an aggressive kind of like mentality in that kind of way in the NBA, look out. All right, let's see. You guys are Darren won't let this go. That's fine. Yeah, the third quarter third quarter wasn't that the bad quarter? No, that was the quarter we came back in 44 points. And they had 25. Let's just keep going. We need a center. Yeah, I would agree with that, Darren. We needed a center last night, definitely. Letting Mills get that last shot off was what lost the game in the end. Yeah, the coverage of Mills should have been sewn up at some point. Mills was getting off. He was going and hitting his shot. We should have recognized he was hot for the night and keyed on him. And I don't know why. I mean, Fred's the guy who's supposed to guard him. That was the matchup. And usually he's really good at tying people up. Like, if he can tie up Steph Curry pretty good and guard him really well, where was that against Patty Mills last night? Like, where was that tie up on Patty Mills last night, Fred. I didn't see it. And maybe you needed more help. Maybe we needed to switch Gary onto him more or something like that. I don't know. But Patty went off. He shouldn't have had that good of a game. He really shouldn't have. Too many missed baskets at the rim in the end. This comes down to experience. I know I keep saying it, and Darren doesn't believe it. It was their legs. If you don't have your legs underneath your jump shot, you're not going to make these shots. And a lot of these late game shots that we missed and they look so bad, that's what it is. It's their legs and they're tired. Like it's a dead giveaway usually. Lumpy Rex, what's up? Let's go. The opportunity was there to win for sure. Yep, we really squandered it. It's too bad. Darren, Champagne missed 3 threes in a row. That can't happen. Open looks. Yeah, they were really open looks, good looks. They were daring them just like we were daring Duke to shoot him. It's a really unfortunate name for that kid, David Duke Jr. If people are younger don't know that name, that was like the Grand Wizard of the KKK's name. So is he like the son of the Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke? I don't know. It's just really weird to me. For me as an older person, and that the weight that is in that name, David Duke, it's like, ugh. Anyway, we cut Cameron Payne. He is coming off the bench for the Suns. We cut Gary Payton II, and Golden State signed him. See a pattern? We invest in too many long-term projects, and now our bench roster suffers. Cam Payne was a couple years ago, and I do remember when he was on our training camp roster, and we did cut him. And he was a pretty good shooter. And then he go to Cleveland, and he did really well there for a little bit. And then now he's at Phoenix. And then Gary Payton II, man, that's too bad. He is definitely somebody that I wanted to hold on to. And I thought that was a big mistake that we let him go out of our system because he was on 905. And now he's playing crazy good for Golden State. And, these are maybe the kind of players we're talking about, these kind of mentality kind of scorer players, kind of like, Gary Payton II, if he has the mentality of his father, he's definitely got it. So, yeah, it is like that. Gee, just realize, can trades start happening today? This will be a crazy week. Yeah, I think it's right around now that trades start happening or are able to happen. Well, it's interesting to see if this smoke coming out of the Indiana Pacers camp is actually fire and if anything's going to happen with that. But we'll see. So that's what Fun Guy's saying. Happy 15th, y'all. A couple Raptors getting traded starting today. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens. So today is the day that they start the trading period. Well, all right. I got my popcorn. Let's see what happens. Andrew, we need OG back. I wonder how bad his injury is. Well, obviously, it's really bad because he's been out for a month with a hip pointer, and it's ridiculous at this point. It honestly is ridiculous. I don't understand this. MK, Steph Curry is officially the greatest three-point shooter of all time. That was a really nice moment. I'm glad Ray Allen was there, and they could reenact that whole picture of him from the time before when he took it from Reggie, and now, Steph is the guy. And this is the thing. Steph's going to put some more water on top of that one. Like, he's going to pour it on more because he's got some more seasons to go, and that record's going to go way up higher, and it's going to be really hard to touch when Steph finishes with it because, like, honestly, his volume and amount of three-pointers that he's made over his career average over the time is really high, and it's going to be okay, you guys are mentioning O'Shea Brissett about somebody we let go also. Now, he's somebody I'm okay with how we let him go. We had too many people at that point, and he was really the less talented guy out of the guys we had to cut at that time. But now he's on the Pacers. He does pretty good in different ways and stuff like that. But he's not somebody that I miss too much. But Gary Payton II, out of those names that you guys just named, is definitely the guy that I'm like, why did we let him get away? This happens. We had Hassan Whiteside very early in his career, and we cut him. And then he went to Miami and became really big and did all kinds of good stuff. It's like, this happens. We cut guys and they go somewhere else and they play better. And, DJ Augustine's another one, stuff like that. Okay, let's see. Boucher messed up on defense by jumping at Patty Mills and allowing the three-pointer. Jumping past him. Yeah, I mean, man, it's so much woulda, coulda, shoulda. But listen, they should have tied him up better. Like I keep saying, they should have been on Mills way better. Of course, he was slow playing at the end of the fourth. Only need 550, not 700 win percentage to be in the top 5. Yeah, in this NBA right now, I'm just talking about the excellence that we were at a couple of years ago. I'd like to get back to being a 700 team. Like, that's where we were 2 years ago. I'd like to be a 700 team again. And we can do that. We can get there. But yeah, 550 will be okay by the end of this year. If we can be 550 by the end of this year, then that's going to mean we're probably in the playoffs and we'll be all right. So I'm a fun guy. Okay, you guys, all right. Yeah, we're all a little tired today. And like it's just semantics, honestly. It's like, the eye of the beholder. We all see different things. I know what I saw. Darren knows what he saw. Fun guy knows what he saw. We'll all respect that. Okay. Gee, I respect Giannis for staying loyal and doing what he says and not joining a super team. Yes. Yes. I love that too. I have so much more respect for Giannis than those other two guys because of that. And this is hopefully the wave of the future for the league. That these guys aren't going to jump ship and run around all over the league and try and do these super teams anymore. That Giannis is setting the tone for the next generation. He is the next guy showing that, no, you can stay with your team and build and win in your market there. Because a lot of that hype and that stupid player movement is brought about by big market media, like New York market media and LA market media. They make up all these stupid trade scenarios for their teams, trying to get players to the Knicks and the Lakers. And it comes to all this stupid shit. And then there's way more player movement with big names in the league and stuff like that. Whereas in the NBA in the 80s, when teams got their franchise player, they stuck around. Stockton and Malone stuck around. Larry Bird stuck around. Reggie Miller stuck around. So I love that Giannis is doing that. And this is what I hope Scottie does also. So a lot of respect for that too. Darren, if they won, everybody would have been on the moon. It's one game, 82 games, not even halfway yet. Way, way too early to panic given what we're seeing from the Raps. Yeah, I'm not panicking, and I agree with you. This is way, way too early for any kind of like conclusive decisions about who this team is and what they're going to be. We're still on a fact-finding mission, and we just got a few more of the facts last night. They were very interesting facts, very close facts. But, I completely agree with what you're saying here, Darren. Let's keep it all in perspective. There's the in-game perspective after the game and how it felt. There's the perspective for the whole season and what it means in that also. I'm a fun guy. We need a center depth by playoffs. Yeah. At least get guys healthy or something. The center is so essential and integral to the league now. You can't play this Houston Rockets small ball from the last couple of years anymore. Because there's going to be pivots and there's going to be big guys that are going to hurt you somehow, some way. And you're going to suffer on the rebounding if you don't have a center right now in this league. And that's really shown in these injuries we've had recently, especially with Kem out. Kem is going to feel like Christmas when he comes back. Because when he comes back, all this stuff that he has in his game will shine again. And we'll be like, oh my gosh, I missed this so much. Like just a competent defensive rebounding and ending the possessions for the other team by securing the ball off their first missed shot. That is going to be like Christmas when we see him on the court again and he's finally doing that again. Just get this freaking knee right. Get his knee right and this stupid hip pointer on OG just so we can see these guys. And apparently Precious may be ready to be back like any minute now. Like they're saying he might be out of the COVID protocols today and, he'll be ready for Saturday, hopefully. I'm sure he'll be playing on Saturday, Precious. I'm really pretty sure about that. Darren. We're not going to keep arguing about the game last night and if they were tired or not, and different perspectives from different time zones. I'm sorry. We're getting mired in the quagmire here with this. We need to be as healthy as possible by playoff time, and we need to really think about Fred's minutes over the course of the year. We don't want Kyle and DeMar from like 4 years ago where we overplayed them during the season, and by the playoffs, they have absolutely nothing. That they're just completely tired and just, ugh. Okay. The center is an issue. Yep. Pascal was all over the court, 110% effort. He's not tired. He was good for most of the game, but at the end of the game, that, like I said, that last three-pointer looked flat. He didn't have his legs underneath him, and that's why he missed so badly. Decker had 23 points and 21 minutes in Istanbul in Turkey. Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty good for that league. And honestly, he should be scoring that kind of stuff with that kind of talent there. Woulda, coulda, shoulda with stuff with him too. I mean, I don't know if necessarily he would have helped us in this whole period of time either. So we don't know if his offensive prowess would have translated to helping us in this period of time. So I wish him well. I hope he does well, him and Malcolm over there and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Let's see. I'm a fun guy. We need an aggressive center. Draw 50 fouls a game. That's fun. They were trying out. They're trying out a New York street baller. He was mean, but didn't make it. Dylan Brooks is that type, in my opinion. Annoying to play against, but good to have. Yeah, that edge. Dylan Brooks is definitely the guy recently we've seen that was showing that edge that we're talking about more and more. It's just kind of like an Allen Iverson kind of like, I have an edge. I'm a baller. I'm a ball out, and you can't do anything about it. And I'm gonna make these shots. It's like that mentality of taking and not waiting for it. You got to go take it. And Dylan Brooks is that kind of guy. And we need more of those kind of guys on this team in some ways. Like Pascal at times can show that he's like, I'm going to go take it. Or Scotty, I'm going to go take it. That's what I want to see. I want to see these guys say, I'm going to go take it. Whether it's Fred in a transition three and says, I'm going to go take it and make this. And like, we know that was very intentional and he's finding his spot and he's like very, very methodical with what he's doing. Let's see. The Raptors are a role player making machine. We can't keep all of them. Yeah, we can't keep everybody, all the people we keep naming from before. And honestly, I think we make pretty good decisions about who we keep around and who we don't. Like this last year was really tough with Kyle and Norman and the decisions we made with them, but they were necessary for what we needed to do with growth in this franchise. So you can't keep everyone and pay everybody. So you got to pick and choose and make those tough calls. And I think that Masai and Bobby do a good job overall for the most part. And that the ones that get away are few and far between for the most part. That usually the guys that we keep around, they stick. And they're the one that were the right ones for sure. Graham, on a positive note, we are only a few small fixes away from being a contender. Yeah, totally. And these are kind of fixes like that come with health and just adjustments and experience. These are the three things that we need the most to make these fixes to go forward is health, getting healthy, adjustments, and experience, more reps. And all that stuff's going to be happening no matter what. We're going to get back. Lowry used to be our center. In some ways, that's kind of true. And so he's definitely the center of attention on our team, the center of like leadership, the center of drawing fouls, because that's all gone with him. But what? All right. At least no Aaron Baines, the pylon. Oh my gosh. Yes. There was a period of time where we still had Aaron Baines on our roster, and it was getting close to this time where we were going to like guarantee his contract again. And I was like, what are you doing? Cut him now. And they like cut him the day just before the deadline. And I was like, thank God. Because for a second, I thought they were keeping him around. I was like, what the fuck? Why you were not cutting him? And when I did finally hear that news, I was celebrating when I heard that they finally cut him. And that would have been really messed. I would have been like really questioning their judgment if they'd held on to Baines in any kind of way. Baines got a Scotty. Baines for Barnes. It was a Baines for Barnes. It was just switching a letter. Darren, I want to see us crush the Warriors. No excuse. They are tired after a long layoff. Well, we'll see what happens. We're getting extra practice time this week. Get some time to adjust. Get some time to watch film. Get some time to beat some more things into our heads about how to play and the best way to play in different ways. And we'll see. I have a good feeling about Golden State. I mean, we want to beat them. We want to beat them on our home court. We want to even the series for the year. And we want the prestige. We want the recognition for beating a top team like them. And you know what? We have a chance. And we'll see. We're that kind of team that'll rise the occasion. We just didn't have enough to rise to it last night. It's too bad. Okay, let's see. Number one tank leader of all time, Aaron Baines. That's right. He was sitting in the tank with the little gun. Yep, he was definitely part of the – I don't know. If getting Aaron Baines at the beginning of last season was like the shadow tank in itself. They're like, let's get Aaron Baines and we'll shadow tank. No, I think they actually thought he was going to be a good player and he'd help us. I want to see 30 from Scotty next game. Beat up the Warriors. Yeah, let's see Scotty continue to build and add a little bit more and more offense each time he comes out, whether it's more threes, whether it's just being more aggressive and getting close to the basket and getting high percentage shots, or finding offense in transition on the break, either passing it or finishing it himself. Let's see Scotty get 30. We want this. We've been talking about this for a couple of days now. We really want to see Scotty get to 30 points sometime soon. Let's see if he can get it before the end of this calendar year. in one of these games before. Yeah, he's getting closer. He really is. He's going to break out. He's breaking out in little ways already, in different ways, whether it's with his rebounding, his blocks, or with his new kind of defense down low, different things like that. He breaks out in little segments and packages of his part of his game. And like, let's see him get it all together and put it all together. We'll see. Scotty's fadeaways are vet levels at time. Yeah. His mechanics are really good. Like, for somebody who didn't know how to shoot, he has a really nice looking shot. And the thing is, he's making shots with contest on him. Like, guys are coming at him and are in his face, and he's still draining it right with them in their face. And that's really impressive. And honestly, that you guys said it. That shot could have easily gone in at the end of the game. This whole narrative of what happened last night would be totally different right now. Oh, yeah. And he may be thinking about that too. It's like, damn, if I could just have made that half-court shot, that NBA half-court shot that is so hard to make. And like, but he's like, I just should have made it. I mean, any regular person would be nowhere near making that shot. But somebody like him, he knows he probably can make it pretty regularly. Andrew, if we can make the playoffs starting Damari Carroll and Patrick Patterson, then we can get in the playoffs with this group. Yeah, I think we're going to make the playoffs. I think that we just keep continuing to improve. We're not going to go lower. I don't see us going lower and sinking lower. We're going to give a good effort, and we're going to continue to be maybe just below 500 or just above 500. But it's going to be like right around there where we end up at the end of the year. So hopefully we can catch fire, and get a good win streak. And then maybe we get up near the 550 mark and stuff like that. But really right around 500, we're hovering around. We're going to be going back and forth between winning and losing. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, Scotty's torched Kevin Durant at times. Like, Kevin was trying to guard him and he couldn't stop him. And he scored on him at least 2 or 3 times, like with him guarding him. So I really love that. That is how you rest on D. You don't try to stop Scotty. KD rested the whole game and on D most of the time. Scotty could do what he wanted against Kevin Durant. I don't know. It looked like he was trying pretty active to cover him on some of the shots that Scotty made over him. Kevin was right there, and he had his arms up. It's just Scotty made a really good shot. Like he beat him. He beat him. So I don't know. All right, let's see. We're over an hour. Oh yeah, it flies by when you guys write so much and I got to cover so much. Okay, Raps are attacking the paint more, and Golden State is a good team to do that against. Yeah, their defense on the down low is really good. And we need to, this is a team we get some days to prepare for. It's too bad we're not playing Chicago tomorrow, but in some ways it's good. So we get a lot of time to prepare for Golden State and understand what we need to do against them. Scotty went from top 10 to top 5 because his shot improved so much before the draft. Yeah. Anyways, guys, listen, we can all differ on the little things that could have added to why they lost last night. But honestly, it really was Patty Mills, fatigue, and maybe just like poor playmaking or play selection at the end of the game in key times where we could have made a better kind of play and executed better in different times. But like Darren's saying, this is a learning process. There's a lot of good from last night also. It was a fun, entertaining game. It was exciting to hang with Kevin Durant and have this battle with him. It's way too bad we couldn't take advantage of the opportunity that they had a shortened roster and didn't have all their bodies there. And it is what it is. Chalk it up to experience. And, we'll see how these guys feel this morning watching the film and going over it and talking about where they messed up and stuff like that. They'll learn from it. And hopefully the next time any kind of this situation happens like this, it'll be a different story. That they will manage the game better at the end of the game and end up winning these games. Because this was a very winnable game. It's too bad it happened this way, but it is what it is. So anyway, guys, tomorrow I'm going to do trivia because there's no game tomorrow all of a sudden. So 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. 12 hours for you, Darren, and come in and score some points. I got to make the trivia. I don't have any idea what the topic's going to be. Oh, actually, I do remember what I'm going to do it on. But I don't want to talk about it right now. I'll put an event up for it tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Oh, and the 905 played again last night. They lost again also. They didn't have any players there, actually. Like, they had hardly any. They didn't have Champagny or Bongo or Banton or any Johnson, none of those guys, and they just lost. It was against the Skyhawks for the Atlanta G League team. Oh, there's Starscream right at the end. You caught me. I was just about to sign off. Great game. Sucks that somebody had to lose. I wouldn't have been upset if we'd lost considering our situation, but I think you guys just ran out of gas. All right. See, Nets fan backs us up, Darren. He saw the same thing, that we were out of gas also. I appreciate it, Starscream. I hope you'll go back and watch this whole hour of the stream that I just did and hear the stuff we were talking about already, because there's a lot of stuff we're saying. Yeah, it was a good game, and kudos to you guys. Kevin Durant is a phenomenal player. He's definitely an all-time great. And Patty Mills, what a great vet, and really stepping up in what they did. And, you should be proud and happy about some of your youngsters coming up, because they look really, really good. All right, guys, let's go, Raptors. Let's beat the Warriors on Saturday. No Bulls tomorrow, but I'll have trivia at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So be ready if you want to come get some points. Just enjoy some dumb fun that I like to do on off days when we got nothing going on. All right, guys, thanks for being here, Starscream. Good job, Nets. All right, Raptors, get your act together so you know how to manage the game better at the end of the game, and no more of these lazy, dribble ups. Fred VanVleet, get some urgency and try and use those seconds better with 11 seconds on the clock. You shouldn't be walking the ball up the court. You need to push the ball and get the offense in motion quicker than trying to jumpstart a isolations play one-on-one at the top of the key like that. It's just piss poor execution. All right, guys, let's go Raptors! Yeah!